Let's try this again. I tried to go live a few seconds ago and I got ixnayed. I got bounced off. So we're on right now. And today's topic is, how does the time change affect your sleep patterns? There is a there's a very, very large study done by the World Health Organization that says that the time change, whether it's fall back or spring ahead, for 30 days after the time change, your risk of cardiac events increases by 20%. What that means is that just an hour difference in time puts such a significant stress on your entire system. Well, why is that? Why does it put the stress on your system? Well, there's something in the body that's called allostatic load. What the allostatic load is that when you for instance, when you are sitting there and you're just like moving your arm, you're exercising, or you're walking, or you're eating food, you have only so much energy that your body can deal with. You have only so much energy. Let's say you have 100 units of energy. That's all your body has. And when it's taken up by, exercise, when it's taken up by, beating your heart, beating your lungs, we tend to lose the amount of energy to survive than to thrive. So, for instance, if you're running a race and you're running from a tiger, you can't eat a sandwich at the same time because you're either surviving or thriving. And your survival systems are cardiovascular system, respiratory system, musculoskeletal system. So the systems that keep you alive are your survival systems. So your body wants to survive before it will thrive. And your thrive systems are your immune system, your reproductive system, your digestive system. So those systems are your thrive systems, and your survival systems are the ones that we typically run our lives with. We're all stressed. We're all working ourselves to the max. So it ends up happening because we live such a tight lifestyle. We live on limited amount of sleep, the least amount of sleep that we need to survive. When there's a variable that changes, like time change, or extra stress in your life, or you change your eating style, what ends up happening is because we're running at such a tight threshold, it's basically something that breaks the scale. So we end up getting sick, or our body goes into this negative reaction pattern. So what you're going to see is, if you don't prepare for it now, that when that time changes, at 2 or 3 weeks after that time change, you're going to see everybody around you getting sick. It's already happening now. People blame it because they're going back to school, or your kids are going back to school, and you're around more germs. It has nothing to do with the germs around you. It's not the seed, it's the soil. What's happening is that the sun is staying out less and less and less, and that's energy. We ultimately get our energy from the sun. So as the sun goes down less and we're staying up past sunrise a lot longer, puts a significant stress on our system. That's just one of the stresses that it does. So when we do this whole fall back, when the time change happens, we have to understand that when we fall back, we're actually now going to bed an hour later, and we're waking up an hour earlier. So what ends up happening is for that hour time change, it takes your body 1 week to get used to it, and that is just 1 week getting used to it if you have the available resources in your body to be able to get used to it. A lot of times what will happen with somebody is you'll end up going to bed an hour later. Like let's say we fall back, you'll say, oh, it's 9 o'clock, it's early, and you'd maybe stay up a little bit longer. And what's going to happen is we start to cheat the time that we go to bed, and you are going to get sick. I like to prepare for it right now by giving myself the resources to be able to deal with the stress of falling back. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get to bed I'm trying to stay in bed an extra half an hour longer, but I'm getting to bed an extra half hour later. So what does that mean? Well, I'm preparing myself for the hour time change by going to bed an extra half an hour later and waking up an extra half an hour later. Does that make sense? Yeah. So let's say if I normally go to bed at 9:30, now I'm going to bed at 10. If I normally wake up at 6 o'clock, now I'm waking up at 6:30. So I'm shifting everything an extra half an hour. So, and I started doing that this week. So this week, next week, my body will get used to it. So now when the time change comes, a few weeks after that, I'm only dealing with a half an hour time difference. I'm not dealing with the full hour. Takes a lot of thought and a lot of preparation to be able to live a conscious, purpose-filled, happy, healthy life. And I'm like the sleep guy, right? Dr. Sleep Right. And I believe that sleep is fundamental. It is the fundamental core thing that you can do to work on to improve every aspect of your life, your relationships, your ability to focus, your health internal. And a lot of times when somebody starts to get more sleep, they feel worse. And that's because you're shifting these thrive systems on. Remember, your body can either survive or thrive. It can't survive and thrive at the same time. So when you meditate, you move yourself more to these thrive systems. When you relax, you get more sleep, you support the whole thrive system. When you're up and you're pushing through fatigue and you're getting your second wind and you're drinking caffeine, you're in these survive areas, which the thrive systems get suppressed. And we basically get a inhibition in our hormone systems. We get an inhibition in our reproductive system, in our digestive system. So it's so important to prep now for the time change because it's going to mess you up. It's going to take a full week for you to get used to it. And if you're not, it's going to take somebody that is already healthy a full week to get used to it. But if you're already running on, let's say, 7 hours of sleep or 7.5 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep, and you're that person, when that time change comes, you're going to get sick 2 or 3 weeks after the time change. Stay connected to it and stay conscious about the people around you, because the people around you are going to be getting sick when you're not. If you want to stay healthy this winter, you're going to do 5 things. This is what you're going to do. The top 5 things that you can do to stay healthy. Here they are. Number 1, get more sleep. Number 2, I believe in taking 50,000 IUs of vitamin D once a week. 50,000 IUs of vitamin D once a week. So that's not every day. That's once a week. Then you're going to drink more water. You don't want your lips. You don't want your lips getting dry. You don't have to put more chapstick on. What you got to do is you got to drink more water, especially when we're here in the northern hemisphere. And I'll talk more about Australia, Matt. Thanks for staying connected. But when we're in the northern hemisphere where we're going into winter and the air's getting drier, we want to stay more hydrated. I want you to keep your immune system functioning at an optimal level. So I would love for you to start taking a probiotic in the wintertime. I also sell an immune system support. But then the next thing is eat green in the northern hemisphere where we don't have as much live food, and ultimately we get our energy from the food. Eat more live foods, drink more water, eat more live foods, get a good sleep. And the last thing, I did a couple of things, but one of the last things is stay warm. If you're one of the survival systems in your body, the survival system in your body is going to be able to maintain a core temperature at 98 degrees. It takes an enormous amount of resources when it's 30 degrees out to maintain a core body temperature 98 degrees. That's a survival systems. When your body has to survive, it can't thrive. Okay, so it drains our resources. Now, Matt, let me explain. When you are in Australia, thank you, because I love that you love the pillow. That's fantastic, the neck nest. It's a little bit different. I used to live in Australia, and I lived in the Gong and Wollongong. And now that you're coming, you're going into your summer, a little bit different. You got more vitamin D on your skin. You don't have to prepare nearly as much. So you're going into your summer, get exposed, ground yourself to the outside. You're not going to be affected by our time change in the northern hemisphere. Thanks for checking in. Anybody has any other questions out there? Actually, there's only 2 people on the view right now, so I'm good. If you're good, I'm good. If you have any questions, I can answer them right now. Just type them in on your live chat over there. And it doesn't look like any questions are coming in. So guys, thank you so much for staying connected. Got a lot of cool things that we're going to be doing here with the Sleep Quest. A lot more interaction stuff. I love to hear back from you, knowing how it's going with your neck nest. And remember, this is one tip I want to leave you with. If you've had your neck nest over for about 3 or 4 weeks right now, it's broken in. So you're going to notice that that it's a lot more compressible. So now what you want to do is you want to take the neck nest, you want to angle it, and you want to lift it up and angle it. I have a video on the website where it's on necknest.com. It's how to use your pillow, and it shows you how to angle it. Mention using the sleep wedge, not too long. How many nights in a row would you suggest? So the sleep wedge, one of the reasons that I talked about not using the sleep wedge for a prolonged period of time is because it rounds out your lumbar spine. Now, it would take a long time for that to occur. If you're doing other things to offset that, like working on balance, working on a wobble board, you can help maintain that lower back arch. What I recommend is that I sleep inverted because I have a bed that elevates. I sleep elevated and I keep my legs up. Once a week. Like on the weekend, like on a Sunday night, I'll lie flat just to be able to stretch my body out again, and then I'll sleep up, because your body will adapt to what you do on a regular basis. If you change angles on a consistent basis, your body won't adapt to that constricted position that a sleep wedge will put you in. Hopefully that answers your question. But 6 out of 7 nights you can sleep with the wedge. Just purchased one for my friend. He has some numbness in his fingers. Could this be related to his neck and sleeping? So if you got one for your friend and he has some numbness in his fingers, my question would be, is the numbness in the fingers, which fingers? So if you have numbness in your fingers in your whole hand, that's one thing. If you have numbness in your fingers and just some index fingers or some specific fingers, that tells you something else. Then would the sleeping position exacerbate that, is what I would want to know. Like, are you waking up, are your hands numb? Are you waking up, are specific fingers numb? But ultimately, the reason why we get numbness and tingling and things down into our fingers is because of the fact that our alignment in our neck is off, or you have degeneration in your neck. That's an issue. So when you start using a neck nest, or you start using it in a very specific position, I like to see x-rays on this, but you can exacerbate that a little bit while you're getting the position of the neck nest correct. But ultimately, in general, it will cause distraction over a period of time. As you start to restore the cervical spine in your neck, that numbness will go away. Now, just as I said before, one way, if they do have some numbness, and that numbness is coming from either thoracic outlet syndrome, a rib issue, or a disc issue, you can sleep slightly inverted. And when you're sleeping inverted, it's important to be able to take some fill out of your neck nest, because my neck nest, I should show it, there's really very little fill in it, because I sleep inverted, then I angle it up and I get my neck right underneath that. So when you're sleeping inverted, you want to make sure that it has a little less fill than it came with. If it's all broken in, you're doing real good with it. Just keep it the way it is. But if he has some issues with numbness while he's sleeping inverted or sleeping flat, then you can start to play with the fill. And then have him, if he has it, have him email us, get on the Sleep Quest, ask some questions, and then we're going to start doing some live interactions. I don't know if you guys have been on the Zoom calls, but the Zoom calls, it's a conference room where you can ask me questions directly. So I'm trying to get service the community as much as I can. There's a lot going on, but it'll be a Wednesday or Thursday night call. Wednesday nights now I have an activity that I have to do. That's why I pushed it to Thursday night tonight. But guys, thanks for staying engaged. Thanks for staying connected. And again, remember, quality of your health directly is dependent on the quality of your sleep. Thank you.